Ramle Pakshi Khurana coming up in the next hour. Qatar says Israel-Hamas truce to begin on Friday 7 a.m. local time. 13 hostages to be released in the evening. Every possible effort being made to save 41 labourers trapped in tunnel in India's Uttarakhand. Till now, drilling has been done up to 46.8 metres. And in sports, India beats Australia in the first T20 international of the 5-match series by 2 wickets. And on to details now. The much-awaited truce between Israel and Hamas will begin at 7 a.m. local time on Friday, with the first batch of hostages to be released at 4 p.m. The Qatar-mediated truce will apply to both north and south of Gaza. The first group of hostages to be released would be 13 women and children. As per the agreement, 50 hostages will be released in total across 4 days in exchange for a pause in fighting and the release of 150 Palestinians currently held in Israeli jails. A significant increase in aid allowed into Gaza also forms part of the agreement. Well, Israelis in Tel Aviv said they were happy a 4-day truce would begin between Israel and Hamas and hostages would be released from Gaza. They're hopeful that all hostages will be freed soon.
I just want to see the children come back. We want all of them to come back. But the first group of children will start breathing again, I think.
Well, I'm happy that the hostages, or some of them at least, are going to be released. Hopefully everyone will, and this is the only thing that I care about at this very moment. I think all other things will be resolved later. It's not something that we don't think about, but we really need the hostages back now.
We are more than happy to hear this news. We are very happy with any hostages that are going to be released. We are still waiting to see Omer's name in one of these lists. We are waiting for him.
Also, UNRWA Chief Philip Lazzarini said the long-awaited 4-day pause in fighting will provide an opportunity to reach people in need, including in the north, and to start repairing civilian infrastructure. Lazzarini reiterates his call for a long-standing humanitarian ceasefire and said UNRWA is ready to receive more than 150 trucks of aid per day. An Israeli army on Thursday released a video showing weapons and other materials found from Gaza's Jabalia area. Israeli commanders appear on the footage saying they found a tunnel shaft in a mosque and missiles of different sizes in the urban area.
Here, next to residential houses, we found all these missiles, long and medium range missiles, which are aimed from the civilian area towards the state of Israel. We entered the area and found missiles next to the mosque, very large missiles. They made it clear that terrorist activity was taking place inside the mosque and inside the urban area.
Israel has said, meanwhile, achieving control over the northern half of the Gaza will mark only the first stage in the Israeli campaign to destroy Hamas. Army spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said that Israel will focus on planning and fulfilling the next stages of the war in the coming days.
Control over northern Gaza is the first step of a long war. We are preparing for the next stages. We are looking forward in the coming days. We will focus on planning and fulfilling the next stages of the war. When the lull in fighting goes into effect, our forces will be stationed at the ceasefire line inside the Gaza Strip. I want to emphasize inside the Gaza Strip, and they will also move along these lines that were agreed upon in the agreement.
And in other international update, at least 5 people, including 3 young children, were attacked in a stabbing incident at Irish capital Dublin on Thursday. Prime Minister Leo Varadkar said that police had detained a suspect. As per the police, 1 girl sustained serious injuries, while the other 2 children are being treated for less serious injuries. Police further added that the other 2 are also being treated for serious injuries. Well, clash between protesters and riot police also broke out in Dublin following the knife attack. Police in riot gear pushed back protesters near the scene of the stabbing. A police car and double-decker bus were burnt out and windows smashed in at a nearby hotel and restaurant. Police said that the man attacked a number of people on Dublin's Parnell Square but was stopped from causing any further harm as members of the public intervened at an early stage of the attack. While speaking to the media, Ireland's police chief said he had not ruled out any motive in relation to a stabbing in Dublin, including whether it could be terror-related. And far-right populist Geert Wilders and his Freedom Party win 37 seats, shocking the opposition in Netherlands. Also, it indicated possible reverberations throughout Europe. Coalition formation expected to be challenging and may take several months. DD India's correspondent Trent Murray reports from more.
While the initial surprise and shock at Geert Wilders' election win in the Netherlands may just be starting to subside, there is still intense focus now on whether him and his Freedom Party can form a coalition government and ultimately lead the Netherlands. Now, for 25 years, this is a politician who has really been on the fringes of mainstream politics. He has not been a huge electoral force in the Netherlands, but that all changed on election night with those results showing that he won 37 seats in the 150-seat parliament. Now, that was by far the largest vote share. His closest rival was a centre-left Green group who won 25 seats. And so it really does put him now in the box position to try and form a coalition government. But it will not be easy. Many other political parties are very opposed to him and his party and what he represents. By all stretches, his policies are quite extreme for Europe. His policies include halting all asylum and immigration to the Netherlands. His platform includes a banning of mosques and Islamic schools. He's suggested that the Netherlands could have a Brexit-style vote on pulling it out of the European Union, and he is also a supporter of ending military support for Ukraine. These are all positions which really do not square well with the majority of the Dutch electorate. So even though he won the most number of seats on that night, trying to find political friends, if you will, to join him in a coalition government will remain difficult. But nevertheless, he says he does intend to govern, and he has had negotiations over the past 24 hours to try and gain some of those political friends. The other outcome that we could see, that we are watching for, is effectively all of his opponents, all of the other political parties from the mainstream, putting aside their ideological differences, coming together to form a grand coalition in order to try and block him from power. But that, of course, too, comes with its risks. It could backfire with the electorate. Given that he did place first, many in the Netherlands will expect that he should be the front runner to lead the country. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
And in Ecuador, business heir Daniel Noboa has been sworn in as the new president. Ecuador's youngest ever president, 35-year-old Noboa, pledges to reduce violence and create jobs via urgent legislative reforms. The South American country is facing deep economic challenges and spiking violence that reached an unprecedented crescendo with the murder of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio. He also appointed his new cabinet on Thursday after his swearing-in ceremony, including 26-year-old Sate Frischy Naranjo as the Minister of Environment. Noboa will serve as president for just 17 months, finishing predecessor Guillermo Lasso's term after the latter brought forward elections to avoid likely impeachment.
Violence, we must fight unemployment. The country needs jobs. And to create them, I will send urgent reforms to the Assembly, which should be treated with responsibility and by putting the country first.
And New Zealand's National Party formally signed an agreement to form a new coalition government more than 40 days after the election, with the role of Deputy Prime Minister split between populist New Zealand First Party leader Winston Peters and ACT Party leader David Seymour. National Party Deputy Leader Nicola Willis will be Finance Minister and Winston Peters will be Foreign Minister, the three parties said in a joint statement. The coalition revealed a series of policy changes that the coalition government will undertake, including narrowing the remit of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. And opposition parties from Taiwan rushed to register their presidential candidates before the deadline as China increases pressure on the island. Talks of a joint ticket between the Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party failed dramatically on live television with no agreement reached. The Democratic Progressive Party, in contrast, has proceeded smoothly with its election campaign. This political drama has had little impact on Taiwan's stock market, although the tourism and hospitality sub-index experienced a significant drop down to concerns about relations with China. Well, Madagascar is set to announce preliminary results of its presidential election on November 24th or 25th. The country's incumbent president, Andry Rajoelina, is on course for re-election in a vote marked by low turnout and an opposition boycott. NTD India's Isaac Lucando has more.
The looming announcement of preliminary results in Madagascar's presidential election has the Indian Ocean island on edge. Alleged irregularities and low voter turnout are already tainting the possible re-election of President Andry Rajoelina. By Wednesday evening, the National Electoral Commission had declared that Rajoelina secured 60% of the votes, with 68% of polling stations having announced their results. These results put him on course for a third term as leader of the island's 28 million people. However, 10 out of 13 candidates in the election have already declared that they will not support Rajoelina's possible election. Allegations of his acquisition of French citizenship in 2014, a factor for disqualification, contributed to many of them boycotting the elections. Rajoelina, a former DJ and mayor of the capital, Antananarivo, served as the president of a provisional government in Madagascar for 5 years before later being elected president in 2019. Isaac Lucando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
And heads of state of the East African community are set to decide on the admission of Somalia into the regional bloc later at a summit in the Tanzanian city of Arusha. The Horn of Africa nation has been racked by conflict for decades. Its leaders requested to join the East African trade bloc in March 2012 in order to enjoy the trade and security benefits that the region offers its member states. DD India's Chris Okamenga has more.
Somalia has been pushing to join the East African community for over a decade, but the political instability in the country has kept it from being admitted into the trade bloc. The Al-Shabaab militant group has been fighting government forces for years. Experts now say the leaders of the trade bloc are eager to admit Somalia despite its challenges. The heads of state are meeting here and will decide later whether Somalia will become the 8th member of the trade bloc. Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania and Uganda are the current members of the East African community. Somalia's leaders hope to enjoy trade opportunities accorded to the member states as well as assistance in dealing with their security problems. The trade bloc currently has a population of close to 300 million people. Somalia's addition will increase that number further. Chris Ochamringa in Arusha, reporting for DD India.
And still to come, DD India News Hour. Brazil lays priorities during its T20 presidency, which begins in December. We acquaint you with COP28 summit that begins in UAE from November 30th and what will it discuss? You will have to shell more euros for your Venice vacation. Stay with us to know why.
तीन महीने में पैसे डबल।
वाह, फास्ट और हाई रिटर्न्स भी।
क्या स्कीम है? कल तो नहीं थी यहाँ। और कल होगा भी नहीं। तूने कभी 5 ओवर में डबल सेंचुरी मारी है?
ऐसे स्कीम के बहकावे में आके हम धोखा खा सकते हैं।
और आरबीआई कहता है अपना पैसा सुरक्षित रखो और समझदारी से निवेश करो। अगर ज्यादा रिटर्न के पीछे भागोगे तो रिस्क भी उतना ही उठाओगे।
और फास्ट रिटर्न से बच के,
और फास्ट बॉलिंग से भी।
आरबीआई कहता है जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Welcome to Chandigarh.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Over 9 years later, the court hearings between flight MH370 family members and Malaysia Airlines, Boeing and other companies will begin in Beijing on November 27th. Flight MH370 disappeared on March 8, 2014 en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, leaving 239 people on board. Family members continue to push for the search to be resumed, citing debris findings. Moving on, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said the country's recent launch of a Tuesday spy satellite was an exercise of its right to self-defense as Pyongyang celebrated the event. The North state-run television released several still photographs of Kim visiting the National Aerospace Technology Administration to applaud the space scientists and technicians. Kim also hosted a reception to celebrate the launch on Thursday. Kim said Tuesday's launch was an eye-opening event in the face of the dangerous and aggressive moves of the hostile forces. Well, the foreign ministers of South Korea, China and Japan will meet for talks in South Korea on Sunday as the three countries seek to hold their first leaders' summit in 4 years. The South Korean Foreign Ministry in a statement said that the foreign ministers plan to exchange views extensively on the direction of development of trilateral cooperation, including preparations for a 9th trilateral summit and regional and global issues. The ministers will also hold bilateral meetings on the sidelines. The last summit was in 2019. Moving on, Hungary is against the inclusion of Ukraine into the European Union during the wartime, as it is the high time for Russia and Ukraine to hold peace talks, said Hungarian Foreign Minister at the UN headquarters in New York City. Speaking on Ukraine's EU membership, Hungarian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade Peter Szijjártó said inclusion of a war-torn country like Ukraine will further raise the tension.
European Union should extend peace and should not include war. And we have the feeling that now inclusion of Ukraine would mean inclusion of the war as well. On the other hand, it's absolutely absurd that we should make judgment about forward progress of Ukraine on EU-related matters while the country is at war. I mean, how could you assess the rule of law situation, the situation regarding freedom of speech, the situation regarding the operation of the judiciary branch, there are no elections taking place, and so on and so forth. So it's absurd that we should make a judgment about such kind of issues during war.
And Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva laid out Brazil's priorities during its G20 presidency, which begins in December. In a cabinet meeting with his ministers, Lula stressed the need to focus on issues like reducing hunger and poverty, addressing climate change, and reforming global governance to bring about meaningful change. He has also criticized international financial institutions for their practices and called for reform, insisting expansion of the permanent UN Security Council. The G20 foreign ministers will meet in Rio de Janeiro in February to discuss these priorities. This comes after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted a virtual G20 summit to review policy goals set at the previous summit. And moving on, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna met Chinese Premier Li Qiang on Friday in Beijing as France seeks to soothe ties with China. Colonna will hold talks with the counterpart Wang Yi on people-to-people exchanges. The talks are likely to be overshadowed by trade issues in the wake of the EV investigation, which Beijing has blasted as protectionist. Colonna's visit comes shortly before a visit by the European Commission and Council Presidents Ursula von der Leyen and Charles Michel to Beijing in early December for the first in-person summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in 4 years. And European Council President Charles Michel and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen are visiting the Canadian state of Newfoundland and Labrador for a 2-day summit. As per European Council President, topics like world security amidst the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and the West Asia, artificial intelligence and clean development will take the center stage during the meeting. And the World Health Organization said that China had shared data about a recent surge in respiratory illnesses in children, one day after the agency said it was seeking information about the possibility of undiagnosed pneumonia cases there. According to a WHO statement, on Thursday, the Chinese data indicated no detection of any unusual or novel pathogens. DD India correspondent Andrew Wood reports from Hong Kong.
The World Health Organization, it asked for information because there were these reports, sometimes unconfirmed, of an increase in apparent clusters of child pneumonia, and also because the Chinese authorities themselves have said there'd been a rise in respiratory illnesses. So China apparently provided the information, test results and so on to the WHO within the 24-hour period, and the WHO seems to be satisfied with that. Remember, these are the highest levels that China has said for 3 years. And don't forget that that means we've had the highest levels since the end of the pandemic measures towards the late last year when they were lifted. So in a way, it's to be expected there would be a rise in respiratory illnesses because all of those strict rules and regulations and measures that China put in place to control the spread of COVID also controlled the spread of things like flu and other sort of respiratory illnesses. So the conclusion seems to be that the rise in respiratory illnesses was to be expected because you've had the end of the COVID restrictions, and we're in the and in November, October, November, that's when the start of the flu and the cold season starts. The government has not given anything, well, not that much information publicly. The warning was sounded by an organisation known as ProMed, which is a worldwide network for monitoring unusual diseases or even known diseases, but something that may not be captured immediately by official statistics. And ProMed also raised the alarm too in the earlier days of the COVID pandemic. And don't forget, both China, the Chinese government, and the WHO are under a lot of scrutiny. They had a lot of criticism in the early days, especially of the pandemic, that they were very slow in giving information out about the spread of COVID.
Well, it is Black Friday in the U.S., the day when Americans' bellies, still full from Thanksgiving turkey, kick off their holiday gift buying. It's often one of the busiest shopping days of the year, and retailers offer steep discounts to compete for the consumers. But as Tony Waterman explains, there is a dark cloud hanging over this year's shopping bonanza.
Black Friday is synonymous with deals in the U.S. You can often get the latest electronics, appliances, clothing, you name it, for 40, 50, even 60% off regular prices, which is why it has always been one of, if not the busiest shopping days of the year. The National Retail Federation, which is the largest retail trade group in the U.S., says more than 180 million people are planning to shop over the Thanksgiving holiday, and the vast majority of them are doing that set today on Black Friday. And those consumers are expected to spend slightly more money than they did last year. But the growth of that spend is slowing, which has businesses worried. Many big-name retailers, including electronics giant Best Buy, upscale department store Nordstrom, and Abercrombie & Fitch, have all issued lackluster fourth quarter forecasts. The common concern, the economy. Despite a solid jobs market and low unemployment, consumers are under pressure from persistent inflation. Things just cost more, which has eaten into their savings, and higher interest rates mean they're spending more on credit card debt, which could hold them back this holiday season. This has left retailers really cautious and intently focused on not just Black Friday, but also Cyber Monday, which is the big online sales day after Thanksgiving. If sales are strong, the holiday season could prove better than expected, but if they're muted, it could signal a ho-hum, ho-ho-ho season. In Austin, Texas, Tony Waterman reporting for DD India.
And the 20th Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change is set to kick off from November 30th to December 12th. The COP28 agenda outlines a comprehensive framework encompassing diverse themes and initiatives aimed at catalyzing global action to combat climate change. With COP28 on the horizon, the world stands at a critical juncture in the fight against climate change. This gathering in the UAE signifies the collective commitment required to navigate the intricate challenges posed by climate change and forge a sustainable future for all. Meanwhile, Brazil plans to propose a huge fund to pay for the conservation of tropical forest at the United Nations COP28 Climate Change Summit. Brazil's top climate diplomat, André Correia de Lago, said Brazil presented the idea of a tropical forest conservation fund on Thursday at a meeting with ministers from 7 other Amazon rainforest countries. He added that it's a conceptual proposal with a view to create a fund to help conserve tropical forests around the world. In 80 countries, he further said that the proposal is not finalized and Brazil is seeking support and suggestions from the other rainforest nations. COP28 Climate Change Summit will begin later this month in Dubai. And after intense rain this week that reportedly caused cracks in earth, an apartment building collapsed on Thursday in South Brazil. The nearby residents were forced to evacuate their residences. Another apartment building in the high-end neighborhood in the southern city of Gramado caved in after days of instability that forced residents to move out on Sunday. Since last weekend, cracks have surfaced after intense rainfall. According to the local media, the leveled apartment building has been shut off from the public amid reports of continued instability. Moving on, Peru's tropical glaciers have dramatically decreased due to climate change, with a decline of 56% in the past 60 years. This loss jeopardizes over 20 million Peruvians who rely on the glaciers' water resources. An inventory reported that there are now 2,084 glaciers covering 1,050 square kilometers, in comparison to 2,399 square kilometers of ice and snow in 1962. As global temperatures continue to rise, these liver-risking new mountain lagoons at lower altitudes caused by glacier melting pose the threat of flooding. And UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and Chilean President Gabriel Boric journeyed to Antarctica to highlight the urgency of climate change. Both explored Collins and Nelson's glaciers and observed native species on the Copaitic Island. Guterres will share his insights at the UN Climate Change COP28 in Dubai, calling for greater action amidst the escalating crisis. The summit seeks to hold Paris Agreement's 1.5-degree warming target, crucial as current emission pledges could lead to nearly 3 degrees Celsius warming this century, per recent UN analysis.
The Arctic and Antarctic poles have severely suffered the effects. It fills us with pride that the United Nations Secretary-General decided to enter and see through Chile. But this also means a great responsibility. We have defended our position as a gateway towards Antarctica. That is why we are so happy to welcome him to this continent of science and peace, and to collaborate in this debate within the margins of COP, which will happen in the upcoming days.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Afghanistan embassy has announced its permanent closure in New Delhi. The Afghan embassy in an official statement confirmed about the closure of embassy from November 23, 2023. Venice will start testing a daily admission fee and cap on visitor access to its famous canals from next April. The move is aimed at managing the flow of tourists on spring bank holidays and some summer weekends. The restrictions will apply from 8:30 to 1600 local time, initially for a total of 29 days, and cover most weekends from April 25th to mid-July next year. Restrictions will not apply to the lagoon's smaller islands such as Murano. A painting made of ST rice in the Mekong Delta province of Sok Trang has set a Vietnam record for the biggest of its kind. The Provincial Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism held a ceremony to announce the record and kick off the 5th Food Street Festival. The painting, measuring 4 into 7 meters, was the result of 30 days of hard work by artisans. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll give you an update on state assembly elections being held in 5 states in India. We'll tell you where and how relentless rains continue to lash India's southern states. The 54th edition of International Film Festival continues to spread its magic in Goa. We'll tell you more ahead.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Qatar says Israel-Hamas truce begins on Friday at 7 a.m. local time. 13 hostages to be released in the evening. Every possible effort being made to save 41 labourers trapped in tunnel in India's Uttarakhand. Till now, drilling has been done up to 46.8 metres. In sports, India beats Australia in the first T20 International of the 5-match series by 2 wickets. And maintaining hope with the 41 workers trapped by the collapse of the tunnel in the Indian state of Uttarakhand, rescue operations at the Silkyara tunnel experienced a bit delay on Thursday as the drilling machine ran into an iron lattice girder, a structural element of the tunnel which had been buried in the debris and had to be removed manually. Drone technology is also being used in the rescue operations. CEO of Squadron Infra Mining Private Limited informed media about the latest drone technology being implemented to combat the crisis.
We got a drone-based LiDAR sensors, so which हम monitor कर रहे हैं regularly. If how is it going? That's what is. We got this is the latest one of the latest technologies which can go inside the tunnels. It does not need. It goes into GPS denied areas, and so it goes autonomous in inaccessible areas, and then you can assess if there is any convergence, any.
And for more, we have a correspondent, Debyendu, from there. Debyendu, what is the update right now? Has the metallic obstruction, which was discovered yesterday, has been removed? And what is the latest update right now?
Well, the roadblock that had come last night has been removed, and the drilling has begun since morning today. And it is just a matter of time now, if everything goes well, just 5 meters left to reach to the workers. And as you can see behind me, this is the same tunnel where the workers are trapped. I'll ask my camera person, Gaurav, to kindly zoom and show you where and how the works are currently underway. So through this is about 500 meters from here inside the tunnel is the debris which had fallen, and the debris has almost been cleared and drilled through by the workers who are working, by the rescue operators and workers who are working within inside there. The auger drilling is continuing, and we are just about 5 meters away from the exact place where the workers are trapped. The pipes are being laid, and the pipes through which the workers will be brought out from this tunnel is being welded, and the last pipe after the 5 meter is welded through. In fact, is drilled through. The workers will be pulled out by the NDRF through stretchers, and this is how the rescue is being planned. The ambulances have been queued up here, and the authorities here say it is just a matter of time now when the drilling would be completed, and the workers would be reached through the pipes, the about 4.5 feet pipe that has been put inside this tunnel, through which they will be pulled out from inside the tunnel here.
Also, has any contact with the workers been established lately?
Well, the workers are being contacted with every now and then. You remember the workers are being given solid food through a pipe which you can see is laid here. They are being given solid foods through air compression. They are being given clothes. Video communication is constantly on with the workers and the authorities who are undertaking this operation here at Silkyara. So constant communication with the workers is underway and is going on by the authorities to ensure that they are at the best of their health, and physically they are fit enough to be pulled out from this tunnel.
All right, we all hope that is done very soon. Devyendu, thank you so much for joining us. And moving on, update now on state assembly elections being held in 5 states in India. In northwestern state of Rajasthan, election campaigning has concluded for the legislative assembly elections on Thursday. The voting is scheduled to take place on November 25th. On the final day of campaigning on Thursday, prominent leaders from all parties vigorously campaigned in support of their candidates. Also, campaigning is underway in southern Indian state of Telangana. Star campaigners in Telangana actively campaigned for candidates of respective parties. India's largest political party, BJP, targeted opponents over dynastic politics, while TRS claimed to address the issue of poverty in Telangana. Well, the Indian Coast Guard is conducting the 2-day national-level pollution response exercise from today in western Indian state of Gujarat. Director General Rakesh Pal and other senior officers are attending the exercise along with other stakeholders responsible for fighting pollution in the seas. The exercise is a critical initiative that tests various facets of marine pollution response mechanisms and assesses the readiness of resource agencies to tackle any marine spill contingencies. And the 54th edition of the International Film Festival of India offers a diverse cinematic experience for attendees. A wide range of films from various countries were showcased on the 4th day of the 54th IFFI. DD India correspondent Shyama Mishra reports from Goa.
One of the highlights of the day was the screening of the films in international competition, including Measures of Men, directed by Lars Krohn, and The Other Widow, directed by Mayan Rip. Another notable screening on day 4 were of Hakikat and 20 Saal Baad in the restored classics section. In addition to film screenings, the day also included panel discussions and interactive sessions with renowned filmmakers and industry professionals. There was an in-conversation session with actor Pankaj Tripathi. Another session titled Indian Documentary on World Stage featured Kartiki Gonsalves, R.V. Ramani, among others, and another session held was titled The Road to Oscars, which had the presence of Guneet Monga Kapoor, Carter Pilcher, Rasul Pulkutti, and Sonal Kalra.
A platform like this is going to give a lot of empowerment to the new youth. and I'm looking forward to interacting with them, looking forward to parting my little bit of knowledge that I have acquired.
Such a great community of people here that are like-minded and who have goals to just go out and tell great stories, whatever it might be, if it's fiction, if it's documentaries, and I think there's so much potential in a space like this of people coming together.
The gala premiere of Hari Om Hari, a 2023 Gujarati comedy film directed and written by Nisarg Vaidya, was also witnessed. The film stars Siddharth Randeria, Ronak Kamdar, Vyoma Nandi and Malhar Rathod. Overall, Day 4 of the International Film Festival of India in Goa offered a wide range of films from different countries, showcasing the diversity and artistry of global cinema.
Day 4 of the 54th IFFI concludes, and with this we can say that we are halfway into the film festival. Cinebuffs and entertainment lovers have enjoyed the day thoroughly with various masterclasses, in-conversation sessions and screening of movies in the restored classics, Indian panorama, international competition and much more, many other segments. We look forward to Day 5 as it unfolds with many interesting and similar activities. With camera person Sanjeev Sharma, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Goa.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Indian PM's initiative of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra continues further in Indian state of Assam, which is extended to a couple of newer districts on Thursday. The Yatra made its landfall in Moregaon, Dibrugarh, Hojai and Kokrajhar districts in Assam. In the program, the people were educated about the various benefits which will be provided by the departments of the government. The nano area spray drone was also displayed on this occasion. The wreath-laying ceremony of the 5 army personnel who were martyred in the encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district was held at the Romeo Force headquarters in the region. Several senior army officials paid tribute to the brave hearts. The encounter between terrorists and security forces, which started on Wednesday, has now ended. A huge cache of arms and ammunition was also recovered. 2 terrorists from Lashkar-e-Taiba were eliminated in an encounter on Thursday. National capital Delhi's air quality on Friday morning touched the severe category after being in the very poor category for 6 consecutive days until Thursday. Stubble burning incidents in Punjab are decreasing, but local pollution sources remain the main contributor to Delhi's air pollution. With AQI quality not showing any improvement, the restrictions under the Graded Response Action Plan 3 continue to be implemented till air quality improves in the city. Relentless heavy rains continue to lash India's southern states. Schools have been shut in 8 Tamil Nadu districts. Rains in Kerala have led to a flood-like situation in various cities. State authorities have urged people to exercise extra caution in high ranges and low-lying areas. Landsliders and intense waterlogging has affected the normal life of people in the state. 12 Indian fishermen who were released from Sri Lankan jail reached the India's southern city of Chennai. Earlier, as many as 22 fishermen from Rameswaram in Tamil Nadu who were apprehended by the Sri Lankan Navy were released and arrived in Pachbam through boats. On November 18, the Sri Lankan Navy apprehended and interrogated 2 country boats with 22 fishermen on charges that they were allegedly catching fish. Jagadhri Puja is joyously celebrated in India's West Bengal, particularly in the Hooghly district, where the lighting and extravaganza steals the show. The puja involves elaborate rituals, right from the creation to immersion of the idol of goddess Jagadhri. The festival fosters a robust communal spirit. The festivities showcase the city's rich cultural legacy through lively processions, intricate decorations, and the observance of age-old rituals. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Sri Lanka's central bank reduced its key policy rates drastically. Why? We tell you ahead. French President Macron applauded France as a major destination for foreign investments. We tell you why ahead. And Indian badminton stars earn laurels at China Masters as they progress to the quarterfinals of the tournament.
Recent conflicts, wars and calamities have displaced millions of people worldwide. Will this migrant situation lead to a global socio-economic crisis? Watch Connecting the Dots at these times only on DD India.
Tamil Nadu is breathtaking, enchanting, divine, come, revel in the spirit of Tamil Nadu. The Thalaiva of States welcomes to an experience larger than life.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Now. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and on to market news now. On to Asian shares were dragged lower by China on Friday amid little guidance from Wall Street, which was closer for a holiday, while the dollar remained on the back foot as investors bet US rates have peaked. The yen was little changed after data showed that Japan's core consumer inflation picked up again in October, although less than expected, and factory activity shrank for a sixth straight month. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan eased 0.4%, but are headed for a weekly gain of 0.9%. Japan's markets, Nikkei, claimed 1.0% to charge towards a 33-year high hit on Monday. And the World Bank and Bangladesh on Thursday signed 5 financing agreements worth over $1.1 billion to help the country achieve resilient and inclusive growth. The projects include early childhood development, primary health, secondary education, and gas distribution efficiency. The agreements were signed in the presence of Senior Secretary of Bangladesh Government, Sharifa Khan, and World Bank Country Director for Bangladesh, Abdul Isaac, in Dhaka. And Sri Lanka's central bank reduced its key policy rates by 100 basis points on Friday to boost growth as the country struggles to emerge from its worst financial crisis in decades. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka, in a statement, said it lowered the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate to 9% and 10%, respectively. The CBSL has forecast Sri Lanka's economy will shrink 2% this year after a 7.8% contraction in 2022 when it went into a tailspin because of a severe foreign exchange shortage. The World Bank, however, has predicted a 3.8% contraction in 2023. Also, French President Emmanuel Macron inaugurated on Thursday a major investment of 2.1 billion euros by Danish pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk in France. The investment will be based in Chartres, west of Paris. Novo, known for its hugely popular anti-obesity drug Wegovy, produces insulin in France. Macron praised the attractiveness of France as a major destination for foreign investments, thanks to a string of laws passed by the government on labour and taxation, including unpopular ones.
On a recréé 2 millions d'emplois ces derniers.
Over the last few years, we have worked very hard together. It's the fruit of all these reforms, of what has been brought by the economic fabric to all Frenchmen and women in the factories, their businesses all over the territory. But we have got some catching up to do, and even a bit more, thanks to the ordinances and laws passed on the Labour 2017-2018. We have regained a flexibility that also make it easier to create jobs and that recreates attractiveness through our reforms, including, I reassure you, the most unpopular reforms.
Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. India beats Australia by 2 wickets in first cricket T20 international 5-match series in South Indian city of Visakhapatnam on Thursday. After winning the toss, India opted to bowl first, though an explosive century by Josh Inglis and a 130-run partnership with Steve Smith powered Australia to 208 for 3 wickets. Chasing the target, Indian skipper Surya Kumar Yadav scored 80 off 42 balls, while Krishan made 58 off 39 balls. The second match of the series will take place on Sunday. And in a great news for all India para-athletes, Union Sports Minister announced the onset of maiden Khelo India Para Games that is all set to take place in New Delhi this December. Our next report gets you all the details that you need to know. Take a look.
In a major boost to Para Games in India, the Indian government has announced first ever Khelo India Para Games that will take place in New Delhi in December this year. Union Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur announced the major move through a video message.
I am proud to announce that from December 10th to 17th, the first ever Khelo India Para Games will be held in various locations across New Delhi. A total of 7 sports, including para-athletics, para-shooting, para-archery and more, will be in display across 3 Sports Authority of India stadiums.
India registered a stupendous performance at the recently concluded Asian Para Games, recording their best ever performance, winning 111 medals. India's contingent also outshone in the recently concluded Asian Para Archery Championship. With a vision to enhance the performance and participation of para-athletes at international level, the announcement comes as a big shot in the arm towards the government's initiative to develop para-sports in the country. The event will further help in identifying talented para-athletes who will be aided with ample support from Sports Authority of India and the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to hone their skills.
The Khelo India scheme has remained a game changer for Indian sports. The Khelo India Games have played a pivotal role in the scheme, with total of 11 Khelo India Games held since 2018, including 5 Khelo India Youth Games, 3 Khelo India University Games and 3 Khelo India Winter Games have been successfully conducted. From these games, we have identified nearly 1,000 talented athletes, and many of them have participated in the Asian Games or Para Games or the Commonwealth to the Olympic Games. I wish all the participants of the Khelo India Para Games all the very best.
Over 1,350 participants from across 32 states and union territories, including the Services Sports Control Board, are expected to participate in the maiden Khelo India Para Games that will witness para-athletes vie for honours in 7 disciplines, including para-athletics, para-shooting, para-archery, para-football, para-badminton, para-table tennis and para-weightlifting. The events will be held across 3 size stadiums, which is the IG Stadium, Shooting Range in Tughlakabad and the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. Sports Desk, DD India.
And India's top-ranked men's double pair of Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty and singles player HS Pranoy progressed to the quarter-finals of the China Masters. Asian Games gold medalists Satvik and Chirag defeated Japan's Akira Koga and Taichi Saito 21-15, 21-16 in 46 minutes. In the quarter-finals, the Indian duo will face Indonesia's Leo Rolly Kanando and Daniel Martin. Asian Games bronze medalist Pranoy too made it to the quarter-finals with a straight games win. He beat Denmark's Magnus Johannesson 21-12, 21-18 in 40 minutes. Pranoy next takes on Japan's Kodai Naroka. And in tennis, Novak Djokovic became the outright most successful Serbian player in the history of the Davis Cup as he took his nation to the semi-finals for the second time in 3 years with his 21st straight singles victory on Thursday. The top-ranked Djokovic beat Cameron Norrie 6-4, 6-4 to give Serbia a 2-0 victory over Great Britain and set up a last-four encounter with Jannik Sinner's Italy on Saturday in the top team event in men's tennis. It was a record 44th Davis Cup match win overall for Djokovic, moving him one ahead of Nenad Ijemonchik. Djokovic now has 40 singles wins for his country. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.